Mercedes from Loris Hezemans and then Piti Beiron-Bahti. 17th quickest, Adrian Delina from Stuart Laddon. He's never really featured in that. Kenny Harble from Pro-Am is next, ahead of the Maltarex Pro-Am Audi. Neil Stevenart 21st, and no time recorded for Norbert Siedler. So those times now will be of course, academic interests for what we will have next, because the times will be a fresh set going into the second part of qualifying, which will determine the grid for race 2.
So that is how the bonnet on the Lexus should look when it hasn't been rubbed down the barrier on the exit of turn 4, while the sister car is on the other side of the garage, one would assume. Having, well, I can't even see it in there, maybe it hasn't been returned yet to the team, which would be a disappointment.
Yeah.
It's hard to, it's so dark once you go out of the bright pit lane into the darkness of a garage, but I can't certainly see the sister car. So Christian Klein up to 10th place, but it never, as I said just a few moments ago, never really felt, and you saw this also, David, that the Lexus and the 4.3 kilometers of the Hungaroring had married together in a way where you could really, really exploit the potential of the Lexus has got.
Agreed. Yesterday, if you take the free practice periods, those cars, again, certainly in the second session towards the end of the day, 13th was the number 14 entry, and 114 also was struggling for pace yesterday. Well, let's hear from Nico Bastian, because he has been a real gun this morning in the first qualifying session. He's with Dakota.
Nico, well done. That was such a great run from you. 2 out of 3 sectors fastest. Happy with that?
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate that it's not the third sector as well. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm very pleased. I'm very happy for sure. It's my first pole in Blancpain GT in the Blancpain GT series, so I'm very happy for sure. And actually, it's very important. It's maybe one of the most important poles you can get this year, because you cannot overtake here. So when you have a clean start, it's already 80% of leading at least your stint. Then we see in the second stint what's going on with my teammate. But my job is done. I'm very happy, and I'm very grateful also because I had a great car by Aka.
Now this is Jack's first time on a Hungaroring. Have you given a few pointers, because clearly you're on point?
Well, it's also the first time for me here, so I also have no idea really what I'm doing, but no, I like the track. I like the track. It fits to my driving, obviously, and for sure Jack is learning quite well, but he needs time for sure. He's 19 years old, and he has not so much experience from slower categories, so he needs time, but everybody gives him time, and so it should be okay for him. And now we see what he can do in qualifying.
That's what I was just about to ask you. What about Q2? Nervous?
I'm not nervous. I hope just that he can show a great performance, and now we take what we get, and for sure it's his learning year. So even when he is doing mistakes, I'm not sad with him.
Thank you.
So Nico Bastian racing here for the first time. A mighty impressive effort, that, isn't it?
Indeed. I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't raced here, because he races in a whole variety of categories over a number of years. You would have assumed, with the amount of racing that does take place at the Hungaroring, that he would have had experience of the circuit. But certainly, coming here the first time, other than running in the Friday practice sessions, he would have obviously got the chance to feel the circuit, but principally get the rhythm of the racetrack. And obviously the ASP Mercedes very, very much dialed into the racetrack. But of course, as was asked of Nico Bastian, Jack Manchester, he's now having to follow the driver, his teammate, who's just recorded the fastest lap in the first part of qualifying. And that creates an additional kind of pressure. So what Jack's got to do is almost discount what the car has achieved and just focus on what he can do with the car, which we know is a really quick car. But the point is not to make any what I would call schoolboy errors and throw the car into the barrier. It's easily done, and you can do it because you generate and create that self-pressure, and that could be a downfall. So let's hope Jack has a cool head, and he can just go out, do a number of laps, do the best he can, and we'll see what happens at the end of the session, where that number 90 Mercedes ends up on the grid.
Christopher Hasse taking over from Simon Gachet in the Sansalot car. There is 87. That's now going to be given over from Nico Jamin to Denis Bulatov. It went well, of course, the pair of them in Misano. 87 Mercedes then good to go as we get set for Q2, second fastest that car in the first part of qualifying. Did a 1:43.349, couple of tenths off Bastien. So the drivers now get set. The fast lane is open, and we are about a minute and a half or so away from getting the second qualifying session underway. And of course, these days it is two standalone sessions for races 1 and 2, not like the early days of the Sprint Cup where you had a qualifying race and then a main race. Now they're equally weighted and qualifying of equal importance.
So Marcus Winkelhock undoubtedly performed better than we saw his teammate do, because obviously Marcus Winkelhock is legend, but so much experience and so much knowledge, having raced here so many times. So it'll be interesting to compare what Marcus Winkelhock does as he makes, what's that on? P-A-G-A. We saw Page. He's scrolling through the onboard computer to get the information that he thinks is going to be beneficial, and just to check other aspects of what's available. He's scrolling through. Let's have a little look and see.
Low fuel pressure.
Yeah.
Tyre temperatures are there. Interesting, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
Here tells you the speed.
And also tyre temperature too,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. A lot of information available. How much of it a driver will use once he's running, and particularly at qualifying, is another matter.
Well, we are about to go 25 seconds before the lights go green at the end of the pit lane. This is Q2. This will determine the grid for Sunday's race in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. The team's ready. Some cars released relatively early when the fast lane was open, so they get to the front of the queue. At the top end, the pit-in end, is Grasser Racing Team, which I suspect may well hang on to its cars and try and release them late and therefore get them into clear track space.
I mean, if you're at the far end of the pit lane, which is where the Audi team, the WRT Audi team, is located, you've got a pretty good chance to get out early, but of course you might choose just to hold back and be patient. So the number 2, the Dries van Floor Audi, the car that had so little running on Friday that landed me Will Stevens behind the wheel. Waiting to see the Audi of Christopher Hasse. So waiting for the instruction as to lift the lollipop and